Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and instantly wished you could take it back? Yeah, me too. Since, see, we live in a world where everybody feels the need to talk loud, fast, and all the time. But let me hit you with the truth. For since silence is not weakness, silence is strategy. And if you don't know when to be silent, you might end up losing friends, respect, sense, opportunities, or worse, your own peace of mind. This ain't about being scared to speak. This is about knowing exactly when your silence is louder than your words. Because there are 9 moments in life, 9, where the smartest thing you can do is say nothing at all. Trust me, if you stay with me through this, you won't just walk away with wisdom, you'll walk away powerful. So buckle up, because what you're about to learn can save you from a whole lot of regret. We've all been there. That one moment when someone pushes the wrong button, says the wrong thing, or crosses a line you told them not to cross. And suddenly, your whole body heats up. Your heart starts racing, your fists clench, and you feel those words rising up, ready to launch like missiles. Anger, raw, unfiltered anger. It shows up fast and it demands you say something, anything. That's the danger. Because in that moment, it feels like speaking your mind is the only way to win. It feels like you have to respond, clap back, defend yourself. Let them know you're not the one to mess with. And here's the twist. That's exactly when you need to be silent. Let me say that again. The moment you're the angriest is the moment you need to say the least. Why? Because anger is loud, but wisdom is quiet. When you speak from anger, you're not speaking from your true self. You're speaking from your ego. Your ego wants revenge. Your ego wants to burn everything down. But the problem is, after the fire's out, you're the one left standing in the ashes. 40%. Words said in anger can't be unsaid. You can apologize, you can regret it, but you can't reverse it. You ever text something angry and then go back a few hours later and read it like, sent. Dang, I really said that. Now imagine if it wasn't a text, but something you said out loud to your mom, your spouse, your boss, your child. One angry sentence can break trust that took years to build. Silence gives you space. It gives you time to breathe, to think, to step back and ask yourself, is this reaction going to help or is it going to hurt? You don't get that clarity while you're yelling. You get it when you go quiet. Now some people think being silent when you're angry makes you look weak, like you're backing down. But let me tell you, it takes more strength to hold your tongue than to swing your words like a sword. Anybody can shout. Anybody can curse. Anybody can lose control. But not everybody can stay calm in the middle of a storm. That's real strength. That's control. And people notice that. And let's be honest, most of the things we get mad about, they pass. They settle. The situation changes. The same person you wanted to snap on yesterday might be the one helping you tomorrow. And if you had said what you wanted to say in that angry moment, you could have burned a bridge you'll wish you still had. Think about the people in your life you love most. Now think about the worst things you've said to them, things that came out in the heat of the moment. How long did it take to fix that?
As days.
Weeks. Some of you still haven't fixed it. That's the price of angry words. And the scary thing is, most of us don't even mean half the stuff we say when we're mad. We just want to win. We want to hurt them the way we feel hurt. But silence stops that cycle. Silence says, I'm angry, but I'm not stupid. Silence says, I feel disrespected, but I'm not going to lose my character. Silence says, I could go low, but I'm choosing to stay high. You don't have to respond right away. You don't have to argue back in the moment. Take a pause, walk away, take a deep breath. Let the moment cool down before you speak. That's how you protect your peace. 40%. That's how you protect your relationships. That's how you protect your future self from regret. Because when you're angry, percent, your words are loaded. And the wrong sentence said at the wrong time can cause a lifetime of damage. But the right silence can save everything. Let me tell you something we all need to hear. You don't have to have an opinion about everything. Have percent. And more importantly, you don't have to speak on things you don't fully understand. But for some reason, percent, we live in a time where everybody wants to be the first to comment, the loudest to react, percent the boldest to speak, even when they only know half the story. And that, right there, is how people end up embarrassed, misunderstood, percent, and sometimes in trouble they didn't need to be in. You see a situation, maybe it's at work, maybe it's in your family, maybe it's online. Someone says something, does something, and boom, you jump in. You assume, you react, percent, you speak with confidence about something you've only seen a piece of, and the truth is, half a truth is more dangerous than a full lie, percent, because half a truth feels real, it feels right, but it's not the full picture. It's like judging a movie after watching only one scene, percent. You don't know what came before it, you don't know what's coming next. And I get it, it's tempting, 2%. Someone tells you one side of a story and you believe them because they're your friend, your sibling, someone you trust, percent. But here's the problem. Every story has another side, sometimes 3 or 4 sides. And jumping into something based on one version, sent without all the facts, is like jumping into a pool before checking if there's water. It might feel brave in the moment, percent, but it's going to hurt when reality hits. This happens in relationships all the time. You hear your friend complaining about their partner, percent, and suddenly you're ready to give advice, take sides, say they don't deserve you. But the next week, they've made up, percent, and now you're the one who looks out of place because you spoke too soon. You made someone the villain without seeing the full movie. 30%. You thought you were being loyal, but you weren't being wise. Sometimes silence is the best thing you can offer. Sometimes the strongest move is to say, I hear you, 40%, but I'm not going to speak on this till I know more. That's not being passive. That's being disciplined. That's maturity. That's leadership, percent. The people who make the biggest impact in life aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who know when not to talk, percent. And let's talk about social media for a second. It's a war zone of half stories. Someone posts a video clip out of context, percent, and boom, everybody's an expert. Everyone's dropping comments, throwing shade, calling people out, demanding answers. But guess what? Sent that 15-second clip, that single photo, it's not the full story. And every time we react without asking questions, say without doing a little digging, we play into a system that profits off division and drama. I've seen good people lose opportunities, percent, friendships, jobs, even their reputation, because someone believed a story that wasn't complete, percent. And I've seen others walk away with their head high, not because they had all the answers, percent, but because they knew how to be silent until the truth came out. When you don't know the whole story, percent, your voice can cause damage you can't undo. You might think you're defending someone when really you're escalating things, percent. You might think you're helping when really you're making assumptions. And once you've spoken, you can't always take it back. 40%. So what do you do instead? You listen, you observe, you ask questions if needed. But most importantly, you pause. Because sometimes silence is the smartest response you can give. And in that silence, you leave room for the truth to rise, to scent. You leave room for other people to show you who they really are. Percent. You leave room for your own thoughts to mature before they become permanent words. Let me end with this. Every battle isn't yours to fight, percent. And every story isn't yours to tell. And when you don't know the whole story, don't jump in and speak like you do. Instead, be silent. Let the truth reveal itself. And when it does, then speak with wisdom, not impulse. That silence might just save your reputation, save your peace and your relationships. Our words are wise enough to be worth saying. Sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing. Sit. Just be there. Just listen. We've all had that moment when someone close to us, maybe a friend, a partner, a parent, even a child, comes to us upset, frustrated, tired, hurt. They start talking fast, spilling out. Their words are messy, sent out of order, sometimes even a little harsh. They don't even know exactly what they're trying to say. They just know they need to say something. And right there, in that moment, most of us make a big mistake. We try to fix it. We interrupt. We offer advice. We say, you should do this, or don't think like that, or here's what I would do. We jump in with solutions, opinions, lessons, and we do it with good intentions. We think we're helping. We want to ease their pain. We want to make it go away. 40%. But what we don't realize is this: they're not asking us to fix it. They're asking us to feel it with them. They want to be heard. They want to feel safe. They want to speak their truth without being judged, corrected, or told how to think. And when you cut them off with advice, no matter how wise your words are, you've just made it about you, not them. Venting is not about problem solving. Venting is about unloading the emotional weight someone's been carrying. And that weight is heavy, 40%. Sometimes they've been holding it in for days, weeks, maybe even years. And now they finally feel safe enough to let it out. And in that moment, your silence is more healing than any solution you could offer. Just listen. Just be present. Let them talk without worrying if what they're saying is polished, logical, or even fair. Because feelings don't always come out in clean sentences. Sometimes pain is loud. Sometimes it's messy. And that's okay. Think about it. When you go through something and finally decide to open up to someone, what do you really want? Do you want a quick fix to send, or do you want someone to sit with you, to look you in the eye, to really listen like your words matter? You don't want a lecture. You don't want someone cutting you off with, well, here's what I would do. You want someone to be quiet long enough to hear the pain between your words. You want someone who makes you feel like, yeah, I'm not alone. Now let me be clear, there is a time for advice. 40%. There is a time to offer help, to give direction, to suggest solutions. But that comes after the listening. You earn the right to speak into someone's situation by first respecting their feelings. Silence isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the most powerful thing, being fully present. Your silence says, I'm here with you. Your silence says, you matter enough for me to shut up and listen. Your silence says, you're safe. Say what you need to say. And sometimes, when they're done talking, when they finally let it all out, they'll look at you and say, thank you. Not because you solved anything, not because you had some magical answer, but because you gave them the gift nobody else did space to feel without being fixed. We need more of that in this world. We need more people who know how to be quiet long enough to make someone feel seen. Because some people are carrying pain that's never been heard. And your silence might be the very thing that helps them finally release it. So the next time someone starts venting, stop thinking about what you're going to say next. Stop looking for the perfect response. 40%. Just look them in the eye, not stay with them. Don't rush their pain. Don't steal their moment with your advice. Be silent. Be still. Be present. Because when someone is venting, they don't need a mouth. They need an ear. And sometimes, your silence is the most loving sound they'll ever hear. There's something that happens when people misunderstand you. When they twist your words, question yours, or criticize you for something you didn't even do, it hurts. Deep down, it hits your pride, your heart, and your sense of fairness. And your first reaction, naturally, is to defend yourself, to explain, to fire back and clear your name. But let me tell you something powerful. Sometimes the greatest clapback is silence. See, 50%, when criticism is fair, when someone corrects you out of love or truth, then yes, you listen and you learn, %. But when you're being criticized unfairly, when you know in your heart you're being judged without all the facts, %, or accused out of jealousy or attacked just to provoke you, that's when silence becomes your greatest strength. You don't owe everyone an explanation, and you don't have to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Unfair criticism usually comes from one of three places: ignorance, insecurity, or ego. People see one piece of your story, and they act like they've read the whole book, or they see your growth, your confidence, your peace, and it triggers something in them, So they come at you trying to pull you down, trying to get a reaction. But here's the secret: when you refuse to react, you refuse to give them power. Because the truth is, your silence says more than any comeback ever could. Your silence said, I know who I am. Your silence says, your opinion doesn't shape my reality. Your silence says, you don't control my peace. And that silence, it burns them more than any argument. The problem is, we're wired to defend ourselves, especially when we know we're right. But defending yourself to someone who's already made up their mind is like arguing with a wall. You'll waste your breath, you'll drain your energy, and worst of all, you'll step down from your level to meet their drama. Let me ask you this, has defending yourself ever actually changed the mind of someone who wanted to see you fail? Probably not, because they weren't looking for the truth. They were looking for a fight. Now imagine you stay silent. Imagine you stay calm, You keep doing what you do. You keep building. You keep walking in integrity. You keep treating people with respect, That's when the truth rises. That's when your character speaks louder than your words. That's when people look at you and go, White, maybe they were wrong about you. You don't have to fight every lie with noise. You can fight it with time, with consistency, with excellence. Let your results speak. Let your peace speak. Let your silence speak. There's a kind of power in not reacting. It shows that you're not shaken by noise. It shows you trust your journey. And most importantly, it protects your peace. 40%, because every time you respond to unfair criticism, you're allowing someone else to pull you into a battle that wasn't meant for you. And not every fight deserves your energy. Sometimes the strongest move is to stay silent, look them in the eye if you have to, and walk away. Let your life handle the response. Because one day, the same people who criticized you will watch you win, and they won't be able to say a word. So the next time you're being criticized unfairly, pause. Ask yourself, is this about truth? Or is this about ego? Is this coming from someone who knows me or someone who assumes? Is this worth my voice or worth my silence? More often than not, that, the answer will be silence, because silence is not weakness. Silence is confidence. Silence is restraint. Silence is grace under fire. And sometimes silence is the loudest way to say, I don't have time for this. So stay silent, stay grounded, and let your peace speak louder than their noise. There are moments in life when you're holding so much emotion inside, anger, frustration, sadness, that your mouth is ready to explode. You feel the pressure in your chest. The words are right on the tip of your tongue. And you want to let them fly. You want to say what's on your mind. You feel like if you don't say it, you'll explode. But here's the truth. Not everything you feel needs to be said, especially in heated moments. because sometimes the words you're about to speak aren't going to fix anything. They're just going to throw more gasoline on a fire that's already burning to percent. And once those words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. We all know what that feels like. Maybe you're in an argument. Someone's pushing your buttons. They're saying things that aren't fair. They're not listening. And in that moment, the anger inside you feels like it has no other way out but through your mouth. You're ready to unload. You're ready to hit where it hurts. But deep down, there's a voice inside you saying, this isn't going to help. That's the voice of wisdom. And you better learn to listen to it. Because when you speak in the heat of the moment, you're not speaking with clarity. You're speaking with pain. You're speaking with ego. You're speaking with adrenaline. And that kind of speech almost always causes damage. You say things you don't mean. You say things in ways you regret. And even when the moment passes, the words don't disappear. They stick. They cut. And sometimes, the scars last a lot longer than the anger. You ever said something to someone you loved, something sharp, something mean, just because you were upset. And after things calmed down, you tried to take it back, You apologized, but the damage had already been done. That's the cost of speaking when silence would have been wiser. Sometimes the best way to love someone is to say nothing until you're calm. Sometimes the best way to protect a relationship is to hold your tongue until you can speak from a place of peace, not pain. And that doesn't mean you ignore the issue. That doesn't mean you never speak your truth. It just means you wait until you can speak it in a way that builds, not breaks. See, silence is not avoidance. Silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom when you know that your words will only make it worse. It's the power to pause, to take a breath, to step back instead of lashing out. It's knowing that the right message at the wrong time is still the wrong move. This applies in every kind of relationship, family, friends, business, marriage. There are going to be moments when you want to prove a point, win the argument, or make sure someone feels your anger. But when you're wise enough to stay silent in that storm, you're not losing the fight, you're protecting the future. Because some situations don't need a reaction. They need reflection. There are also times when the other person isn't even in a place to hear you. They're too emotional, too defensive, too angry. And in those moments, anything you say is just going to bounce off the wall. So instead of yelling louder, you stay quiet. You let the moment pass. You protect your peace, and you wait for the right time. Let me tell you something. You don't have to win every battle to win the war. Sometimes walking away with your peace is the real victory. Sometimes keeping your mouth shut in a moment of chaos is the strongest move you can make. And when the dust settles, and emotions calm down, that's when you can speak. That's when your words have power. Because when you speak from silence, your words are clearer, stronger, sharper. They carry weight. They land differently. But when you speak from heat, your words turn into weapons, and most of the time, you end up hurting someone you care about. So, the next time you feel the fire rising in your chest, the words climbing up your throat, the urge to let it all out, pause, ask yourself, will this help or will this hurt? Will this build or will this burn? If the answer is burn, stay silent. Let your silence save the moment. Let it protect the relationship. Let it guard your peace. Because sometimes, the most powerful words you'll ever say are the ones you choose not to speak. Anger is one of the most dangerous emotions you can carry. A person to feel angry. Every human feels it. What matters is what you do with that anger. Because when you speak out of anger, you're not just expressing yourself, you're setting things in motion that you can't take back. 40%. We've all had that moment where something just hits us the wrong way. Someone disrespects you. Someone betrays you. Percent. Someone says something careless or cruel. And before you even realize it, your chest tightens, your fists clench, your voice rises. Percent. Your whole body is saying, say something. Don't let them get away with it. Don't stay quiet. And most people obey that voice. They explode. They speak without thinking. They curse. They shout. They slam doors. They burn bridges. But here's the truth. Percent. The words you speak when you're angry are usually the ones you regret the most. Anger doesn't care about consequences. Percent. It doesn't care about your reputation. It doesn't care about the people you love. Percent. It just wants to release itself. And if you're not careful, you'll be the one who pays the price. Percent. That's why silence in the heat of anger is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's maturity. Percent. It's the sign of someone who knows how to control the storm inside before it damages everything around them. Because when you're angry, percent, your mouth will run faster than your mind. You'll say things you don't mean in ways you never would under normal circumstances. Percent. You'll tear down relationships. You'll create wounds that don't heal just because you didn't pause. You didn't breathe. Percent. You didn't give yourself time to cool off. Silence gives you that time. It gives your heart time to settle. Percent. It gives your mind space to think clearly. It gives your words a chance to be guided by truth, not just emotion. Percent. You'd be amazed at how different your perspective becomes once the anger fades. What felt like a war becomes a misunderstanding. Percent. What felt like betrayal turns out to be miscommunication. Percent. What felt like a personal attack ends up being someone else's pain that spilled onto you. Percent. But you can't see any of that in the heat of anger. You only see red. And if you speak in that moment, you're speaking blind. Percent. Think of all the people who've lost relationships, careers, say opportunities, because they couldn't control their mouth when they were angry. One outburst, one text, one heated response, and boom, percent, it's all gone. And the worst part is, once it's done, you can't undo it. You can apologize. You can try to fix it. Percent. But some words leave scars. Some moments don't come back. Percent. But when you choose silence, when you hold back and walk away, you give yourself a second chance. A chance to respond, not react. Percent. A chance to protect what matters. A chance to be proud of how you handled yourself instead of ashamed of what you said. And no, percent, it's not easy. It takes strength to stay silent when everything inside you is screaming to speak. It takes discipline, percent. But that discipline will save you. It will protect your peace. It will preserve your dignity. So the next time anger rises up in you, pause. T%. Take a breath. Step outside if you need to. Walk away if you must. Whatever it takes, stay silent until the storm inside you passes. Said, don't let anger drive your mouth. Let wisdom take the wheel. Because the truth is, so anger is temporary, but the damage it causes can be permanent. And silence in that heated moment, percent, can be the difference between a memory you're proud of and a moment you'll spend the rest of your life wishing you could undo. Percent, stay silent. Let the hun come back, not to explode, but to express. Not to destroy, but to resolve. And when you do speak, so to speak with strength, not spite. Speak with clarity, not chaos. Because sometimes silence in anger is the loudest way to say, Sent, I choose peace over pride. I choose growth over reaction. I choose wisdom over war.